Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Midlife, the search for meaning in the middle. I'm your host, Lisa Steadman. Today, we are joined by veteran comedian and producer Carole Montgomery. Welcome to Midlife, Carole.
Hello, welcome. I'm actually past midlife now because I'll be 68. But yes,
I love it.
midlife.
I love it. We don't discriminate age at all in this podcast. We have young folks, we have people middle aged, we have people who are in their more mature years because really it's the whole journey. But
Absolutely.
you and I connected on Threads, and I loved what we were talking about there about, things people don't prepare you for in midlife and how to find the humor in it. And you're a
Yes,
comedian, so we got lots to talk about today.
yes, we do. Yes, we
But I
do.
want to take a step back and ask you, is there one moment where you maybe first realized, oh, I'm midlife now? Like what was happening? How did that hit you emotionally?
It's first of all, I love the question. What happened was being in show business is not kind to women, period. But as
Period.
you age, it gets worse. And I noticed, I lived in Vegas for 10 years and I was starring in a couple of burlesque shows out on the Vegas Strip. So I had my life. I mean, I always knew I wanted to come back to doing stand up when I was finished with that. But I didn't think that the ageism was going to hit me because comedy was, I don't know, more
Mm,
progressive. Well, hello,
yes.
not progressive at all. And I had to literally start from day one. Like I came back to New York and I had to start all over again, which
Wow.
that's when I was like, wow, this has all to do with my age. Now I've been a supporter of being older since before I was older, because
Right.
I used to always say that, once again, in my business that, the movies and television, their demographic is 18 to 35. And I
Yes.
used to always say, the fact of the matter is, yes, that's your demographic, but where do you think they're getting the money from?
This is what I keep wondering. Where
Yeah,
who at 18?
right.
I didn't have any money from 18 to 35.
Right, so you probably had, your parents probably gave you money who were older, and it used to drive me crazy. It was like, there's such a huge demographic, especially 60s and above. I'm not even talking 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
There's such a huge demographic for entertainment, and I'm like, "Guys, you're missing the boat." So I would
Yes.
say I would probably about 40s, I didn't feel it as much. I would say probably when I hit my 50s is when I went, "Oh, okay, I'm in midlife now."
Yes, I was just reckoning with that myself. I saw a photo over the weekend. We went to a friend's house for a beautiful outdoor brunch yesterday. It was amazing, had a great time. Someone sent a picture of us with our friends, and I was like, "Who's that middle-aged lady?" And I was like, "Oh, that's me."
That's you, yeah. Oh, yeah, that I still you know what's funny is I don't know why this has happened this year. I don't know it because 'cause I'll be 68, and I don't know if I'm closer to 70 than I was to 60.
Right,
Now
right.
when I look at myself, I'm like, "Well, I'm old now." And that's
Okay.
fine. That's
Yeah.
absolutely fine, but it's like at one point, I people used to always say to me, I was very young. I always looked very young. I was
Yeah.
lucky. My mom always looked very young. But all of a sudden I was like, "Okay, I can't really," like, in the old days, like, if I was 45, I could say I was 35 or 38.
Yes.
And, like, so that's one of the reasons why I talk about my age right away, because even at 60, people would go, "Well, you could pass for 50." And in my business, that's important. But now I'm
Right.
like, "No, I'm not fooling anybody." I
Yeah,
I'm 68.
and why do we need to? Because that was the other thing I got to last night as I got into bed and I was like, "Let me pull up that photo again and really look at what's bothering me about that photo."
Right, right.
And I looked at it and I was like, "You got a cute outfit on, you look happy with your friends, you got great style, so what is it that's really bothering you?" And I had to reckon with, and this is something I'm 54 and I'm still reckoning with this because I think until you hit 50 people do kind of just let you roll with whatever, and then there is, like, a systemic and societal shroud that comes over you, and people start to call you ma'am or not even look at you or bump into
Right,
you, and
right,
it's
absolutely.
Yeah, it's things we have to reckon with, and I think the other thing, and I don't know how your family dealt with aging, but my mother, I feel like the minute she turned 50, her health went downhill, and
Yeah,
so I
a lot of women.
realized that's something that also is just right here every once in a while, and it's why I'm so passionate about taking such good care of myself, but, like, ooh, okay, so there's something there that, like, I need to heal because
Mhm.
that's a
Well,
story, and it's a cautionary tale, but, like, I need to also, like, not run through my 50s, in fear about all that.
that's the thing is that our parent, like, my mom passed. I'm actually it's a long story, but
Yeah,
I figured out on Christmas Day this past year, I realized that I was the exact age. She didn't die on Christmas, but I realized I was the exact age she was.
right,
And I didn't realize how
when
much it
she
triggered me
passed.
when she passed.
Yeah,
I didn't realize how much it triggered me, and it did. Like my health, like my doctor said to me, he goes, "Well, what's bothering you? You know, let's talk about that." Because I'm on medication for certain things, and we realize that. And the issue is that women like my mother always wanted to look younger and always wanted to.
yeah,
That's their generation. So
yes,
we've been conditioned our whole lives that aging was not something you wanted to do.
right.
And so it's very hard when you get to the age, let's say that your mother, like you said, in the 50s, and you're like, oh, my mother's health. Well, that's because that's what, there's a point. I don't know, you'll see people and you can tell they've given up. They go, well,
Yes,
I'm old. I peaked in high school. And, there's a great song that Bruce Springsteen, does called Glory Days, and it's all
yes,
about people from high school, and that's all they've ever done. They peaked in high school, and now they're just waiting to die, and it's like, I don't wanna do that. I want to
mm-mm,
enjoy my life as much as I can
at every
at
age and stage.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for saying that, Carol, because I think that's something that really resonates. I peaked late, so I don't I'm holding on to my peak real hard.
I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, as a comic, I have to basically turn the mirror on the audience and show them
Yes.
what they're doing and everything. And yeah, I even now, even though I talk about how much I don't like plastic surgery, at the end I always go, do whatever you
Do
want to do.
you? Yeah.
I'm going to do my jokes about Madonna, and I'm going to do my stuff about this. But the fact of the matter is, what was in her child, and she was in the music industry in a powerhouse
Ooh.
when no women were doing any of that. So I understand the need to want to look that way and keep that, that feeling. But it's like,
Yeah.
what is the I always I'm like, why? If you want to do that, go ahead, but let's really think about why you're doing it.
Why? Yes.
And that's
I think
society again.
that's yes. I think that is essential. If you want to do it, great. Check in and ask yourself why. And one of the things that I'm still reckoning with is, man, I talked a lot of shit about Madonna's face, and then I wanted Kris Jenner's face. So I'm like, well, wait. What was the difference? That really
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean, like,
fair. It's the same face.
right, right, and it is funny because, like, I still do the joke, 'cause basically, I say she's had work done because she's Italian and she's my age, she should have a full beard by now.
Oh, the chin hair plucking is real.
Well, I know it is, so but now when I do it, I do say, because she was a groundbreaker and she
She
did,
was.
you know what I mean? So, but
Yeah.
you wonder, like, why would you put your, like, there are other people, like my husband and I were just recently talking about Meg Ryan, who was because we want to watch, Harry Met Sally, and we were
Yeah.
like, and I was like, she was so adorable. But that's what happens in Hollywood, especially. It's this whole thing that you have to stay the way you are and don't change. That's why I mean, look, the women who have aged well and and look younger have had great work done. I mean, Jane
Yeah.
Fonda is 88
Oh,
years old. She looks
yes.
amazing.
Yes.
She's had work done too, but she doesn't look like she's 40. She looks like she's an
Right.
88-year-old woman who's in shape.
Yes. And my my North Star in this conversation, adjacent to Kris Jenner, because I do covet her looking like, whichever doll I think it's Kendall, she looks like Kendall. But I also hold up then the mirror of Jamie Lee Curtis, who at some point said, "Enough of this. I'm not
Right.
getting lipo. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you what I've done, and I'm gonna stop doing it." And I really respect that, and I love how she stands for aging well, but aging truthfully, or like
Yeah.
Pam Anderson, like going makeup free. Like, there's so many ways we can do this and we get to choose it. So I think what we're both really tuning into is let's be conscious of why we're choosing what we're choosing.
Absolutely. But, like, and you mentioned those women, and Terry Hatcher, who was on
Oh,
my 3rd special, she is, she was a bomb girl. I mean, she is a stunning human. She has had no work done, and she's
I
like,
ran
"I'm."
into her at a Trader Joe's once when she was on I think it was the beginning of Desperate Housewives, because towards the end, I'm sure she had someone else shopping for her, but I was like, "Who is this Oh, it's Terry Hatcher."
Right,
She
right,
was,
and
like,
she's still. Yeah,
gorgeous. I saw,
she's
like, a
gorgeous.
Lifetime or a Hallmark movie with her recently, and I was like, "She is still drop dead
Gorgeous.
stunning."
Yes, and she always talks about she's never had work done. Like, she does a whole series of, like, cooking stuff, cooking in her, kitchen, and she always has no makeup on,
Yeah.
and it's such a pleasure to
Yes.
see that, and so more women are doing it. It's just that, this has been we can talk about the patriarchy and all that crap till, this
Yeah.
would be
Oh,
the
that
longest
I mean,
podcast in the world.
that is an epic conversation, and we'll touch on that.
Yes, but that's it, is that I wanna be at the point now where I know I'm older. I'm consider I like to call myself the Yoda of comedy because I do have
Yes.
wisdom, and I've nurtured a lot of young comics, and I'm okay with that. I'm absolutely okay with that.
I love that, and I do think that is a gift of midlife, is a desire to do that give back, do that mentorship,
Absolutely.
pay it forward, because we have beautiful experience to share, and it's exciting to see someone's potential and help them fully realize it.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so speaking of all of that journey, you've been a hustler your whole career. Hustle is real. I love being a hustler, and I'm learning at this age that it doesn't always serve me. So, what has midlife taught you about slowing down? And for you, what's been the hardest part of unlearning that kind of grind mindset?
Well, so funny because my husband and I were talking about this yesterday. We were walking in Central Park. I'm a type A. I think we discussed this when we first, did our
Yeah.
interview. You're a type A also. So type A's don't know how to relax. It's always, "We have to go, we have to go, we have to do, we have to do." And when I was, now I've been doing Funny Women of a Certain Age since 19. Okay, it just went out of me. Um, I've been doing it since 2019. Okay. I was like going 1972. I was 12. No, anyway. But so I've been doing, it since 2019, so
Yes.
it's been 7 years, and when I started this journey with the show, I would get up every morning, and I would be on the computer probably from 8 in the morning till about 1 in the afternoon, then I'd finally get up and go and do something else, and it was always about going and getting and getting and getting, and I don't know if I think it's a mixture of having the success that I did, which not many people get to sell a special. I got to sell 3.
Yes. Yes.
So, I think.
3.
Yeah, so I think the success, and we resold it too. We re-released them. So, I've had a little bit of what every comic is searching for. I've had a nice piece of success. But I said to my husband, I was just away this past weekend, and we were down in Florida. By the way, matinees are the best. We had the best time. All I was like one of the youngest people in there. Everyone was in their 70s and 80s, which is why I talk about how we need more entertainment for that age range.
Yes.
And I excuse me, was with 2 of my closest friends. In the old days, it used to be more fun for me, but I didn't I said to my husband, "I had a great time, the shows were great, but I'm tired. I don't want to constantly be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the age. You know,
Yeah.
all I'd rather do, I know this is silly, but like my husband and I, every night after dinner, we take our little walk because that's what old people do now. We take our walk and then we turn on whatever we're watching that night. You know, we're watching a lot of 70s cop shows, and
Yeah.
we sit down with my puppy, which is she's an old lady too. She's 13, and we watch TV. And I am so happy. I can't even tell you like the thought, like when I came home from this last I came home on Thursday and I have a standing, what they call spots, you know, when you do stand up in
Okay.
the city, they call spots.
Yeah.
And I have a standing spot whenever I wanna go up to which is the Comedy Village in Hell's Kitchen. It's owned by a dear friend of mine. And, you know, I told him, I said, "I'm not even coming on Friday because I don't wanna do that. I love
Yeah.
doing it. I have fun, but at my age and with everything I've achieved, I don't need to prove anything anymore."
Exactly. I remember when going out before 10 p.m. was, like, so silly, so
Mhm.
ridiculous, how dare you? And I'm in bed by 9 now, so, like, I love that 20, 30 something version of me, but this version, when I'm out, my husband and I went out for sushi and a movie on Friday, and we both were like, "Oh god, I can't wait to get home and get in comfy clothes and sit on the couch," and I was like, "I actually don't even wanna sit on the couch, I wanna go to bed." Like,
But
and
yeah.
I know my 22-year-old self would cringe at that, and I'm like, "That's okay, you don't understand the why. This is great. I'm so loving this. This is a great era." So, like, don't worry or stress or judge because it's an era you get to and you will love it, or if not, that's fine too.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's funny because you had mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis, because I think she's the one that said, "I really would like to go to a Coldplay concert at, like, 4 in the afternoon." And it's like,
Yes, please.
you don't realize I mean, everyone is missing out on so much money, you know, like, I always try you're missing a
Yes.
huge I mean, when I do the shows, the matinee, you know, when I say, "How great is a matinee?" and everyone clap, I said, "Not only is it good, but we'll be done by 3:45 and we'll be early for the early bird special." And people are like, "Yes! Yes!" It's like, it's okay to do I've done that too. I remember even and this was can we've been back in New York now 18 years, but no, 20 years. Oh my god. So, but like even like 5 years ago, my friend he would whenever he would book this is a different club, he would book a weekend show and you'd be on every show. And he put me on the midnight show, and I said, "Why are you putting me on the midnight show?" Because, "Don't you wanna do a spot at" No! I don't wanna
No,
do a
I
s
really don't.
I don't wanna do a spot at the 10 o'clock show, so, the fact that I'm even doing that but it really is I mean, I'm the same way you are. I mean, I'm in bed like my son, he got a new job, and he works literally now 10 minutes from my apartment, so he had to be there really early when I came home from Florida on Thursday. So he says, "Mom, do you mind if I sleep over on Thursday? I'm gonna get up early." So, of course, we waited for him to get here. He's showing up at midnight because he went to a movie and he's doing this, and I'm like, "I'm in bed for 2 hours now." So it is interesting, but I but and look, if you wanna go out and do that and you're my age, go for it. I mean,
Yeah, if it still feels good,
right.
so my husband's high school mentor, who is a dear friend of ours, we got married at his and his wife's house. He's my dad's age, he's 85. He still loves a late night. He still go My husband will go out with them, and they will stay out past midnight, and I'm like, "Just don't even text me if you're past midnight, because I'm not answering." We
Yeah,
used to always say,
exactly.
"Text me if you're past midnight," and whenever he tells me that now, I'm like, "You know it won't happen, you know I'm gonna be back by 9." But for him, I'm like, "Don't text me because I know you'll be out, and I'm sleeping."
Yeah, exactly. Don't
So
bother me.
I wanna move on because I think this is a huge part of why we're in bed so early: body, hormones.
Mhm.
Midlife comes with some rude awakenings with the body betrayals, body awakenings, body drama, a lot of beauty too. But like, what's been your least favorite surprise about the body when your body has other plans?
Well, my lower back is I used to when I used to go overseas for the military, we'd have a suitcase, but they would always say, "Take a backpack just in case."
Yes.
So I used to travel with a backpack all the time, and I can't. If I, because I usually have my laptop, I have
Yeah.
my my body just my back kills me. I get up every morning now. I've been doing this for about a month where I do about 5 or 6 minutes of stretching because I
Yes.
but I have to tell you, this is really funny, and I haven't actually done a bit about this yet. So when you get older, as you know, you get dry in that area. So I've done jokes about that for years. So I actually went, I went to go do like an annual, and the girl was, the my gynecologist was like 12, and she goes, and she says, she goes, you have I'm going to say it wrong, atrophic, atrophic, yes, atrophic vagina.
Okay.
And my husband heard that and he goes, "That means if you don't use it, you lose it, Carol." That's right. But it was like, what does that mean? Like they wanted to put me on hormones and I'm like, I'm fine. But it was like to me, I'm like, I kept thinking that's gonna be a great bit when I figure out
Yeah,
what
you're
I
like, "I can't wait to use
say about.
that."
But it was just like, is that something that I mean, so I guess that's part of it, is that,
Yes.
that's okay. Thank
I
you.
gotta say, I used to be super juicy, almost embarrassed, and it's like, I miss those days.
Yes. Now you're like now you're like prunes probably.
Yeah, I'd like a little drizzle every now and then would be great.
But it was just such a fascinating thing to me that I was like, I said, I've been making fun of that for so many years. I didn't
Right.
realize it was an actual thing and that women
Yes.
worry.
It's real, and, my husband and I joke about this a lot, like, what so, I'm agnostic, he's an atheist, like, so in this house, we don't talk a lot about God, but I was like, if God was really planning ahead, God would have planned for, like, middle-aged men to get with young women and midlife women to get with young men where like, the young men just, they come really fast, and that's fine, like, at this age, we don't care, like be done, get in, get out, like, I can't handle that much, and, the older men take
Yes, that's
forever, and the young women could just hang forever because 'cause they're juicy.
right.
I'm like, "That would be brilliant.
Yes, yes, that's hysterical. That is so funny.
Use it if
But
you want to." I just think it's like, really, the 2 of us, now I call it visiting hours. I'm like and it's not even an hour. I'm like, "You get s we our parts get some time together, but, yours is taking too long and mine is done."
visiting hours. I love that. That's
Yeah.
hysterical.
So you've mentioned you've touched on your specials, women of a certain age. I love this. So what inspired it? What do you think this moment and this audience why do you think the audience is so hungry for laughter about midlife? I mean, clearly there's a lot of funny moments like we've just touched on, but tell us about that journey to making these specials.
Well, like I said, I've always been pro-aging, even when I was younger, because I knew. And I was with a bunch of women hanging out, and we were just talking, and we were on. I think it was a podcast. I don't remember which one it was, but we were having so much fun, and we were laughing and telling war stories about what it's like to be a woman on the road. And I remember calling my husband. I was walking home, and I said, I think there should be a stand-up show about older female comics. And it was the first time in my entire time, because in show business, you throw stuff on the wall and hope something
Yeah.
sticks. And he goes, "Carol, this is a great idea," and it just snowballed. There's so many older female comics that no one's heard of that are brilliant, and it's not
Yes.
down not to be famous. Like whenever I love Threads, by the way. Somebody said I should be their spokesperson, except for the fact it's owned by a fascist. But uh, I uh, I love Threads, and like every so often, when I'm doing a joke, some troll will say, "Well, I don't know who you are." I said, "I don't care if you don't know who I am. I've had a successful career for over 40 years.
Yeah.
This is in the same vein. My son, who's going to be 34 tomorrow, he I always I love that he told me this. He's only known me as mommy. He's a comic. That's all mommy's ever been. All of his friends that he grew up with, all his friends in high school, but now he's older and he has other friends. And
Mm,
and comedy is not what it was when he was growing up. It's an actual job now. Like there's people do this. And
right.
one of his friends goes, "Your mom's a comedian. What does she do for a living?" And my son went, "She bought me a house, raised me. pay for private school. Like you know, it's 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 it's
Yes.
it's what I do. This is my job.
Yes.
So, I went off topic, I'm sorry, but,
No,
so
that's
I've always done
beautiful.
this, and I've always wanted to give women a chance to be seen and heard, like,
Mm.
just because there's always just one woman on the show. It's still that way. I mean, it's better, it's way better, but there was a time right after COVID when some female comic posted that the major clubs in, LA, there was not one woman on the show that weekend, and we were like, "What?" Don't pull the, "Oh, we couldn't find a strong woman."
Yeah,
That days are over.
yeah.
Those
No,
days are
that's not
over.
the
Even if
case.
yeah, and so it
Yeah.
was really interesting that still and that was only 3, 4 years ago. We're always gonna fight this. We're always gonna fight an uphill battle. So the fact that women and men come to see my show, it's 3 or 4 older women, we're all different. That's the thing is that people think, oh, the thing I used to get was, "Oh, all women do is talk about their periods." I'm like, "Well, that's not happening anymore."
Yeah. You can forget all about that.
You can forget about that. But it's fascinating, but yet they'll sit and watch a young guy talk about, you know, living in his mother's basement and jerking off. That's okay.
Right.
And it'll be 3 or 4 guys doing that. I can't tell you how many guys I have to fix my back because my back's
Yeah,
hurting.
no, take care of
I
you.
can't tell you how many guys do that, and you're like and they're all doing the same thing. Be original. That's the one thing I love about my show. If you don't like me, you're gonna like the next girl. You don't like that
Yes.
girl, you can like the next girl.
And that's what I think is so important about having these conversations about midlife. We have celebrated parts of women's journey, baby showers, wedding showers, blah, 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 all the things. And we're starting to celebrate divorce parties and things like that. But
Right,
like midlife is so communal, but also individual. And the individual is what's so important to share. The universal will be specific, but the individual is what people can also hang on to and go, oh, maybe I didn't relate to that person, but I'm totally relating to this person. And thank you for saying that because that's the experience I'm having.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just talking to my sister because she just turned 70, and I said, "How do you feel?" And she goes, she's like, "I don't like being" I said, "Yeah, but you passed the age you way past the age that when our mother died." I said, "So you know what I mean? Like, you should be proud of the fact that you've
Yes.
lived past when our mother died." So, it's really interesting how some I'm like, I think the thing about aging, honestly, is I think people are afraid because I know I think about death. I mean,
Yeah.
that's and, you don't the thing I've always said is I'm not afraid of dying. I'm
Yes.
afraid of leaving my family. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
No, I know, that's really it,
Well, this
is
is what
I
we know. We know this existence.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I think people, there's been so much crap about aging and how bad it is for you, and it's like sometimes I say on stage, I said, "Well, it's better than the alternative.
Exactly. I've said that
You're
too. I'm
here."
like, "What is the alternative?" You
Right,
young folks who, like, age discriminate or s like, I literally, because I worked in beauty for about 8 years, and I literally had a young woman in her 20s say, "I would rather die than get old." And I looked at her, and she was very close with her mother, and I said, "Would you say that to your mother's face?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm kidding." And I was like, but you understand
no,
you
you're
just
not.
said that out loud to me. I'm older than you. You said if you said that to your mother, how would your and who knows? Maybe her mother would say the exact same thing. I don't know. I never met her mother. But
Right,
I was like, wow, the things that come out of our mouths that we're not aware of the weight they have at that particular point in time. But guess what? Down the road, you'll be my age, God willing. So
right.
are you going to
Well,
say it then?
the line I say to on stage is, when a young girl is mean to me, I said, "I don't bleed monthly anymore, I win."
Okay. I'm using that.
You may use that one. But it's
That is
like,
fantastic.
all that stuff, like,
Woo!
it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like not having to worry about that. That's pretty amazing. because nobody can say, "No, I'm so happy I have my period every month."
Right, right. And I always felt like it was a waste on me because I never wanted a baby, so I was like, "I don't need some reminder every month that I'm pregnant or not."
Right, 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 right.
Yeah, it wasn't my journey to like, yeah. So, okay, so we've kinda touched on this already of us being in of reaching an age in society where younger generations can see us as invisible, irrelevant, grandma adjacent. I love what you said about like you're the one who's bleeding every month or however you said that. I love that. Um but what are some other ways that we can without needing other generations to co-sign it that we can really reclaim our power, our value, our relevance and maybe even build some bridges.
Well, one of the things I love, and it's so interesting. I love all your questions because they're really great.
Thanks.
I have friends that have been on my show that are still fighting it. They're still fighting
Okay.
it, and
Okay.
they'll say to me like, "Oh, when I play a," 'cause okay, my shows are age and kinda gender specific. We welcome everybody, and I mean, for the first 2 well, actually, all 3 specials, at least a third of them were young kids,
Okay.
millennials. Um, so I don't, because like I said, I do think we have wisdom to share, but, when you play in the city, it's always it's going to be mostly younger people.
Yes.
The same thing in LA. They just, that's who's really going out there.
Yeah.
When they come to my, so I have to have a different act for when I'm actually doing funny women shows
Yes.
and when I do shows in the city. But some of my friends are like, "Oh, it's really hard now to talk about my age in the city," because and I come out from the moment I'm on stage, I mention how old I am, and the young ones lean in like this.
I love
Tell us,
it.
tell us. And I have yet to have a like, I mean, I make the jokes, the mean girls that say, but
Yeah.
that's just my snappy little and like the other joke I have about, because you mentioned grandmas, I said, some young girl called me grandma. I went, "I wish, tell my son." Like they're using things that are insults, and you're like, okay, that's not insulting me. Are you kidding me? So
Yeah. I
I
could
think
be
if
a
you,
grandmother.
yeah, but I really do think that if we have to, where I really do think this group of older women in midlife, and I'm talking 50s and up, we're
Yeah.
changing the way people see older people.
Yes.
There's some great things about being young. I would love to have a flat stomach. I would love to be able to go to the bathroom in the morning without having to drink 75 ounces of water, okay? Those things I would love. I would love to have that. But it's okay because at some point I do go to the bathroom so I can move on with my day.
Right,
But
right.
we have to learn how to, um, coexist because
Yes.
the older ones are going, "Listen, honey, you don't have to do that." Like, once again, going back to Threads, what I love about Threads is there's always somebody posting about, "This guy said this to me, what should I do?" And everyone gets up and goes, leave him, you don't need that." I wish I had that type of aunties all over the
Right.
internet when I was young and I was being in an abusive relationship, but women don't have to do that anymore. So we
Yeah.
wanna be you the problem is, once again, with TV and film is, like, The Real Housewives. They're always showing women. I always hated that show because they always showing women fighting against each other. Now that that happens, that
Yes.
absolutely does happen, but I would say most of the time, women will support women, and
Yes.
that's what we need to do. We need to go across the boards and go, "Hey, everybody, we are in this together." Because if we don't if we let the guys keep doing what they're doing, there's not gonna be a
We're in
world for
trouble.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, I watch Beverly Hills Housewives, it's the only one I watch, and it's awful and horrible, and I love it, and it's delicious, and my husband's like, "It's like it's like female wrestling." He's like, "It's"
Yeah.
and I was like, "It is," and I don't even like it, and I sit there and I yell at the screen, I'm like, "This is so dumb," and I'm like, "But I'm still watching," and oh, I would love to see a woman with one line on her face, just one little line on her face I mean, those women are like, "Whoa!" I mean, I want their doctor's numbers, but still, like, I
Yeah,
would love
yeah.
to see a few lines. I would love to see some cracks.
One of the other lines I say, like I said, nothing against plastic surgery, but there's no
Yeah,
plastic surgery for the inside. The inside, it's just called surgery, and then
yeah,
when you finally go to wherever and you're laying there and the coffin's open and you're 85 years old and someone leans over and goes, "Oh my God, she was 85, she looks 70," you're still dead. You're still dead,
yes,
so what was the point of all that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
genetics is I always talk about genetics on stage. Genetics is the thing that's gonna kill you. It doesn't matter how
Yes.
gorgeous you are.
It doesn't, and, we go back to Jane Fonda, like, I remember watching her in Grace and Frankie, and I mean, oh god, she just had a facelift, she looked incredible, but she had her hand up on a wall, and I was like, "Her hand's telling her age," like, you can't
Right,
and it didn't matter, but, like, I just keep because I joke that needles in my face are my happy place, and I'm due, so like, "Look, you see some lines, great, awesome," but, like, what we just have to ask ourselves why. Like, it's okay. I look at these things because I'm groomed that way, but also I'm an observant person. And it's part of it's judgment, but part of it is also observation, like,
right,
so I see your hand. Why didn't you do your hands too? And it's okay that you didn't, but why'd you do your face? And why did you feel the need to? And your face looks great. But like, just all these things, I hold up my own mirror because I know I have bias. I know I have fear about like not looking young. I know I have these things. It's part of why I'm doing this podcast because I think this age and stage of life is actually really fucking awesome. And it's really fucking confronting and really humbling. And there's so many things that nobody prepares you for. And that's what we're here to do is kind of help folks prepare and embrace because it's here and I don't want to white knuckle it through midlife. I want to embrace, I want to surrender, not give up.
right, right,
Find a way to find peace because you're right there. The inside job is everything.
right, and the thing about all of it, the Botox and the lip
Yeah.
fill, all of that stuff, you're paying somebody. So that's because in the o when I was growing up, because I grew up I'm Jewish and I grew up the only plastic surgery women did was nose jobs. That
Okay.
was the thing,
Yes.
okay? This whole thing of all of a sudden doing all this stuff, someone came up with this, probably a man.
Probably a man.
When women feel like crap about themselves, so let's tell them if they, put some filler here and they do that. Now, listen, I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at myself and right now and I'm like, "Oh, that wouldn't look bad." I always say I'd like to hire somebody, just carry my tits around, just but this is
I
who I
would love
am,
that too.
but this is my face, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
The only one we
so
got.
yeah, and if you like I said, if you wanna do it, go for it. The
Yeah.
problem I always have is when 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 celebrities do it in a way that they're like, "Well, you should do it too because this is the way,"
Or
I
when they
always
say they've had nothing done.
when they've had them. But here's the deal,
Yeah.
if I was if I was a major celebrity, I would have a chef, so I would eat well, I would have a trainer, I would have a doctor, I would have regular people, you're gonna spend thousands and thousands of dollars for what?
Yeah.
I because of, the shows that I was in Vegas, a couple of the girls had facelifts,
Sure.
and they came in, they couldn't work. A facelift is such a horrible surgery. If you don't
It's
know for
brutal.
your audience, okay, what they do is I'm gonna show you okay, they cut a line behind you, they cut all this off, they do this, they take your skin off, and they pull it back, and
Yeah.
then you look a neighbor of mine had it done, who was just a housewife. She looked like she had been in a boxing
Yeah, it's brutal. I worked in aesthetics for a decade, beauty and
okay,
aesthetics
so
and skincare,
it's
and it is brutality at its and there've been a couple things that I've done to my face that I literally it hurt so bad after. I was like, "That was brutality." I paid someone to be brutal to my face. Um,
but women are used to that. Women are used to any kind of
yeah.
brutality,
And
whether
we think
it's
it's okay, and we tell us it's fine. And what's really interesting? This is something that I saw the more I got into that world, and it's one of the reasons that I chose to get out, was I
right.
saw that male plastic surgeons looked like real human beings. They look like they could walk down the street and and even I'm talking Newport Beach, Beverly Hills plastic surgeons. You would
Right,
not go, "That's a plastic surgeon." But an
right.
esthetician nurse who injects, you know her, you know that face. And I was like, "So why do the men still get to look normal and be in this business, but the women have to look so like bloop, 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 bloop." And it saddened me. It was like, I celebrate their choices and their journeys, but I was like, "That's patriarchy at work still." Like, it oof.
Absolutely. Every time a woman, if you like I said, every time it's every time a woman goes and does that, she's buying into what men have told us is what women should be,
Yeah.
and we can't possibly have a bunch of older, strong women, I mean, look at, The Handmaid's Tale, the only women
Oof.
that are used for baby making, and then the older women like me, I'm the one that's gonna be shoveling the crap,
Yeah.
I am considered because I know I went through menopause in my 50s. I mean, am no use to a man now because I'm not fertile. I'm like,
Mm,
my
thank
mouth
God.
works. True, true, thank God, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Yes.
"Oh, okay, that's where we're at? Okay."
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like, I know it's not the either or, it's the all. So if y'all wanna do a facelift, do a facelift. I got
That's
names and
fine.
numbers for you of incredible surgeons I am happy to refer you to that I have met and interviewed through in a corporate storytelling setting. They are amazing at what they do, masters at their craft. So if you want a number, I got a number for you.
Yeah,
But if you and wherever you are on the spectrum, totally you, do you. I just think it's so
absolutely.
important to talk about because when I was in that world, I was planning for my facelift. And the minute I left, I was like, God, I know I don't think about it anymore. Okay. So influence has power. It's a
Absolutely.
slippery slope. I want to make sure we talk about this because I would love to hear your perspective on this. We've talked some about what midlife has stripped away. What has it given back? What feels truer, freer, or more grounded than ever for you?
My confidence,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? I mean, I mean, and every older person says this, I wish I would have known not to take anything personally.
Mm,
'Cause it's so when you're in your 20s, you just and like for me, I was a young comic starting out, and there were things that happened that I didn't get something or I didn't, and I was like, "What's wrong with me?" And
right.
it's nothing. It's nothing. It is nothing at all. It's just they made a choice, and I worked behind the scenes for about 6 months. I was working in an agent's office, so I got to see the other side, and it actually taught me a lot because it
Good.
prepared
Yes.
me for, what taking funny women on tour. But the fact is, one of my good friends is used to be a casting director. It has nothing to do with you. They don't go, "I'm not booking Carole Montgomery because I don't like her." They're booking that person because that person
Yeah.
has a perfect example. Years and years ago, I get a call from my, I don't know, agent or manager. They said, "Carol, there's an audition for a New York City cop." I'm like, "Perfect. That's me. I'm New York." I walk in. I knew the executive producer. He was an old friend. We're doing all this stuff. I nailed it. I was like, "I got this." And it wasn't a big part. It was just a small, like, two-line part. I didn't get the part. And when I watched the episode, they hired a black woman. Well, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna, they wanted to go
Yeah.
with a woman of color, which is
Yeah.
fine because, it was just, that's what the first time I went, maybe it's not me.
Yes.
So
Oh, that's a good
that's the thing is
lesson.
the confidence, I think is so important at this age because who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
like, I remember one time I was working at a club, and this is when phones just were, and there was a kid, he was like 17 or 18 years old. He's right in the front, and, he's with his dad, and he's just doing this the whole time. He's texting, and he's and I started picking on him, and then he really got mad, and he was and finally I took his phone from him. I said, "Give me your phone." And he's like, I said, "Give me your phone." And I put it on the piano. And the rest of the show, he's like, and he's just giving me devil. And I leaned into him and went, "Do you even think I care what you think about me?" And after the show, to his credit, this young man walked up to me and apologized, because 'cause I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Thank you so much. I really had a good time. I just," and it's like, if you see somebody who's confident, why would you, like, I was telling my truth to this child, and it was
Yes.
a great moment in learning. It's just, y y I don't I don't have to prove anything anymore. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm really confident. I raised a great child.
That's
I have a
beautiful.
I have a great husband. He's a pain in the ass, but aren't
They
most
all are,
men.
but if they're great, they
Um,
yeah, that's why
you
we keep
know
them.
Right. I mean, I'm happy with my career. I love talking about it. I realize that I've done some stuff. If you would have told me when I was 21 years old I would be going overseas for the US military, been in Vegas for 10 years, and ended up creating a hit TV show, I'd be like, "Get out of here. I'm gonna do this for a couple more years, and then I'm gonna," I didn't think I was gonna do this for the rest of my life, and welcome.
I love it. Oh, Carol, that's awesome. Oh,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you. I mean, I think that self-reflection in midlife is also a gift because it's way too easy to look back and say, I coulda, I shoulda, I wish. But to
Right.
look back and give yourself credit. I was on Facebook this weekend and saw a clip of when I was on the Today Show. It was 19 years ago now when my first book about breakups came out. And part of me was like, God, that was 19 years ago. And the other, like, it was awe, but it was also judgment. And then I really sat back and I was like, you know what? I never gave myself credit for, like, what it took to get on that show. I never like, I wanted to be humble, so I didn't talk about it a lot, which was fine, but, like, that was a big deal, and so I took,
Course it
like, a
was.
little minute for myself this week, and I was like, "Good job, Lisa." Whereas my whatever 35-year-old self couldn't say that at the time. I remember the day I pitched myself to my hometown newspaper in Bozeman, Montana, when I had before my book deal, actually. So I had just had a website about breakups. I was blogging about breakups, but I was in Montana for the summer, and I was really good at I was really good at self-promotion. So I pitched this story to my local newspaper about local girl comes home, blah, 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 whatever. They loved it. They did a story. I was on the front page of the lifestyle section. And the day my story hit, I hid in my bedroom all day because I didn't want anyone to think, how dare she?
Right.
And
Right.
this version of me would be like, I did that, y'all.
Yeah, but that's the thing is we don't women are brought up to not make a fuss and, and stay small. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Stay small, and my whole career has been like, "You shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that," and I'm like, "Don't ever tell me I shouldn't, because as soon as you tell me I should."
Ammunition.
Yeah, I mean, if someone said, "Don't jump off the Empire State Building," I'd be like, "Okay, now I have to jump off the Empire State
Yeah.
Building,"
I'll wear
because
a
I'm like,
parachute.
yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, when someone says that, and women, we're so used to being small and not being, and I'm exactly like my father. I'm loud. I mean,
Yes.
I speak my mind, and so it's important when you get to when you get older, just to be like, embrace it. However you want to do that. If you want to get work done, look, as much as when I'm on stage and I talk about plastic, I still dye my hair.
Yeah, we all
I
do
mean,
things.
I still go to the gym and work out so I can, not be 400 pounds because I like
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah.
So I do things, but it's not, it really isn't the end of the world. The end of the world is when you're dead.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what's so funny about midlife is sometimes I'm like, God, what a relief that'll be. I'm not ready, but
Yeah.
I can rest.
Right, exactly, because that's another thing. Women always just we do everything, and that's why it's been very like the first quarter of the year is always very busy for me. So in January I was gone every weekend. It was like I was gone to Maine and New Hampshire, and it was snowing there, and then I had to fly to Chicago and it was snowing there, then I just did Florida, and it was snowing back in New York, and it was just a constant like, it was just
Yeah, a
that's
lot.
when I realized I need to slow down.
Yeah. I think that's a lesson for both of us that we can learn to acclimate to, because it's not gonna be an overnight journey. But
Yeah.
Carol, I have so appreciaed this conversation. Thank
Well,
you
I've had a
so
blast.
much.
This is so
Any
great.
last thoughts for our audience? This has been such a joy.
Thank you. Just confidence is hard. Confidence is
Yeah.
really hard for women. Self-esteem are
Mm,
self-esteem is so hard for women because we spend our whole lives, like in my case, I really did start the whole finding out about myself when my son turned 18 because I spent 18 years. Do you have children? I didn't ask.
I have a 15-year-old niece that I have partially raised.
Okay, so you understand. So when
Yeah.
you raise a child, and that was my whole life.
Yeah,
He
it's your
was my
everything.
so all of a sudden, and that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to turn a certain age, they're supposed to leave.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I sat there going, now what the hell am I gonna do? I mean, I was still doing
Yeah.
stand-up through the whole thing. And now my son, like I said, he's gonna be 34. We're still very tight, but we rarely talk. He
Yeah.
sent we send pet pictures. I have a dog, he has cats, so that's what we do all day, but the thought that women, that's what we do. I see some of my friends who are going through it right now, they have young ones, and they're like, "Everything is consumed by your child."
It's so
That's
consuming. Yeah.
yeah, and so to
Yeah.
be able to realize that, well, now I can spend time on myself, and my husband just retired 6 months ago, and he's, like, going, "What do I do?" I'm like, "Enjoy your life. Enjoy it. Enjoy. You have nothing to do but sit around and do whatever you want, and that's a really
Yes.
great thing to look forward to."
It is, and it can be very confronting. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday at our brunch who was, I think, 70, and he's about to retire. And I was like, "You're my goals. Tell me, like, but are you going to be able to sit still? Because I kind of think you're like me." And he's like, "Oh no, my wife's like you." He's like, "I'll be fine." he's like, "I need projects, but I'll be fine."
Right, right, right. And once again, men, I don't think I'm sure there are type A men out there, but I think a type A personality is mostly women because we're
Yeah.
we're doing a million things at the same time.
Yeah.
A million things like, I remember my son would be like, he couldn't find something, and I'd walk in and wherever it was could be underneath a pile of clothes. I go, "It's right there." And he goes, "How did you do that?" I said, "Mommy
Just how we
superpower." But
roll.
that's how women roll.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love this conversation. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. This was amazing. Well,
Yeah.
so thank you again, and to all your listeners, thank you again. Please, if you're on, as I like to call it, if you're on the interwebs, follow us all over the place. We're all funny women of certain ages, all over the place. Please watch the shows. I'm very proud of them. They're all over the place now. They're on Amazon Prime and Apple, and so please, and
Congratulations.
hopefully we'll be getting more. We're trying to figure out where we're gonna sell it next, but
Awesome. That's
yes, yes,
fantastic. Well, yes,
yep,
so everybody keep that in mind. Please check Carol out. She's also hilarious on Threads, so please follow her there.
yeah.
And for our audience, just thank you for watching. And if there's stuff that resonates, let us know. If there's stuff that pisses you off, let us know. Like, I don't mind. I don't mind pissing you off. That means we're doing something right. We're activating your critical thinking. And this conversation is a continuum. So to be continued, everyone.